morning! Well, I have come out for a little hike and also to film a video which a lot of people have been asking me for, and that is how I vlogged on trail. Now, a lot of people thought that I had a lot of help doing this and with the editing, the uploading, but I did it all myself and it was a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the way I have done it, I am not giving any recommendations as to the system or the devices or the equipment that I've used, but what I'm just doing is showing you how I did it and what worked for me. I will give some hints and tips along the way if I can and show you, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's not going to rain too badly because it has been pretty bad and I've just managed to get out for a little bit to be able to film this today. And I hope you enjoy the video. Now, one of the ways that I vlogged on trail was using a tripod attached to my camera like I am doing now. The reason I did this is because it gives a much wider angle around me, so you get to see the scenery a lot more. And also, those mornings when you're not feeling so good, you don't want a close-up of your face, but I think as time went on I kind of stopped caring about that. So this is what it looks like when I'm actually holding a tripod. And just so you know, I am shooting at 25 frames per second in full HD resolution. So now I'm going to flip over and show you exactly what it looks like without using a tripod. You can tell here that straight away there's not as much scenery behind me and I'm much closer to the camera. I have also got tiny arms, so if you had longer arms it would be much better, but I like using the tripod because it does make me further away. The problem on trail is though that it's getting your tripod out all the time to do it, so it's something I don't do very often. And there was some very unfortunate times when I had to record using my iPhone, and as you can see, walking and talking on an iPhone is a little bit shaky. So I preferred not to do this, but I had to do it once when I broke my camera. But I much prefer using the camera. I know it was extra weight to carry with me, but I think the quality of the videos were much better than just using my iPhone for vlogging. Now, I am back using my tripod, and one other thing to remember when you are vlogging is to keep your image stabilization switched on so that when you're walking you're not getting an extremely shaky video clip. And of course there's always the bits that you want to film if you're walking past some spectacular scenery. And then yes, you have to walk all the way back to get your camera. Things I do for you guys. Another thing to watch out for when you're vlogging is the white balance. Now, with this camera I don't keep it on auto because what you'll find is if the scenery changes, the colour scheme of the clip itself changes as well. And when you're trying to do one long stream of chat or video, you want the colour to stay the same. So go into your white balance settings and choose one appropriate for the weather. Whether that's cloudy, sunny, or if it's very rainy and dark, you've got your darker settings on there too. Another thing I have got on my camera is a thing that goes over the top of my microphone so that the wind noise is not too bad when you're filming in wind, because it can be very crackly and I'm walking in quite a lot of wind at the moment. Now if this wasn't on, it sounds a bit like this. So you'll notice that it's got a little bit worse, and it'll probably sound a little bit cracklier on the camera itself. So I always carry this, and this is what it looks like. All it is a bit of fluff on a bit of Velcro, and I put it on the top of my camera, and that prevents some of the wind noise as well. Another thing I liked on the camera was the option of having face tracking. So you'll notice a few seconds earlier my face was a little bit blurry. I have not touched anything in the settings on the camera, and it has automatically detected my face because the face tracking settings are switched on. Another thing I always do when I'm about to stop recording and think I've finished my little vlog is check the footage, because there has been some times when I have gone to listen to it back later and realised that it was either inaudible or I wasn't in focus. So I'm going to just play this bit back and make sure that it's working okay. The thing I always do when I'm about to stop recording and think I've finished my little vlog is check the footage, because there has been some times when... Now there's one final thing that I also used to do on trail, which I always had to be mindful of, and that was to make sure that I had a photograph for my thumbnail. Now a lot of people, when they upload to YouTube, the system itself can actually choose thumbnails for you, but I always like to take pictures and use one picture of that day for my thumbnail on every upload. So I always had to be mindful that I wasn't just vlogging and I wasn't just videoing, but I was taking photographs as well. And the ones I liked to pick were ones that were quite airy and light, which looked kind of appealing, and sometimes it was quite tricky to find some, because I had a scheme where I always put a title on my thumbnails at the bottom that was white. I didn't always want that to get in the picture. So one little tip I will give when taking photographs out on trail is don't always zoom in, but stay quite wide, because you can always crop in later and choose the exact position of the shot that you want within that frame then. Another thing to remember is when you're taking photographs and you have got your camera on a tripod, you have to make sure that the image stabilization setting is switched off, because by having it switched on it can actually cause a little bit of shake on the tripod. So always to make sure that it's switched off, but if you're doing handheld photography then it is best to keep it switched on. Now I was hoping to be able to set up my tent out here today and now show you the next stage of how I upload everything from this camera to my phone to start editing, but it is starting to rain quite heavily, so I'm going to cheat a little bit and set up my tent in my spare room at home. So we'll just pretend that I'm out on trail for the next section. As I use the Canon G7X Mark II, it allows me to directly share my images and movie clips to my iPhone. All I would have to do is simply press the Wi-Fi button on the side of the camera, and this connects to my iPhone. This would mean I wouldn't need any wires or cables. However, I choose not to do this because it just takes up too much battery. Instead, what I would do at night is use the Lightning to SD card reader. What this lets you do is import the photos and videos from your camera's SD card to the iPhone. It supports JPEG and RAW formats. The reason why I choose this is because it's quicker than the camera's built-in Wi-Fi, and it doesn't drain the batteries as quickly as it would do using my camera or my phone's Wi-Fi system. All I need to do is remove the SD card reader from the camera, insert it into the Lightning to SD card reader, and then insert that directly into my iPhone, and this usually automatically pops up with the import. I then go in and import all. Then it's just a matter of waiting for all the photos and movie clips to import. Once that's done, my iPhone pops up with an import complete box and asks me if I want to delete or keep the selected items. I always click on keep because I like to keep them on my SD card until I've reached a town where I can double check that I've got them all safely on my phone and I can back them up. Depending on how tired I am at camp depends on whether or not I do any editing. Usually I was too tired on an evening, so I would wake up a little bit earlier and play catch up then instead. It also depends on how much battery life I have. If I'm out for a long stretch of time, I won't do editing on my phone because it does take a lot of battery life. But if I know I'm going to have some power left, I will try and keep on top of it whilst out on trail. Whenever at camp, I also only ever wore one earpiece when editing movies, so I could still hear what was going on around me. And the reason why I wore earphones is so I didn't disturb any other hikers at camp. The software I use to edit my vlogs is iMovie, and that came free with my device. Usually I am always behind on keeping on top of it, so what I have imported that day isn't necessarily what I'm working on that night or that morning. It sometimes can be about a week or two behind. Once iMovie has opened, it's just a matter of going in and creating a new project for that day. It then pops up automatically with all the photos and the movie clips that I haven't yet imported into iMovie. I can then select the ones that I want and insert them directly into the project. Another thing I always do when I'm about to... Now this is not an iMovie tutorial, so I'm not going to go through all the fine details of how I edit a video. There are plenty of videos out there that will explain in much more detail than I ever could. Good morning! Well, I have come out for a little hike and also to... The things that I do use on iMovie are the photos, so I can insert them into my movie, or the audio. When I went out on the PCT, what I did was create a playlist on iTunes. That playlist, I imported songs directly from YouTube that I was able to use on my videos. In iMovie, I would then import them onto the videos I wanted and use them in rotation. Morning! Well, I have come out for a little hike and also to film a video which a lot... These audio files, once imported, can be changed, so you can increase or decrease the volume of them and have them playing alongside the video. Well, I have come out for a little hike and also to film a video which a lot of people have been asking me for, and that is how I vlogged on trail. Now, a lot of people thought that I had a lot of... Once I had completed my video, it was then just a matter of exporting from iMovie to my phone. Now there is a way that you can upload it directly to YouTube, but I preferred to keep it on my phone and do them all together once I got to town and on Wi-Fi. I always exported my videos with the size of 1080, which is the high definition. This provides a better viewer quality, especially when on larger displays. I would then make sure in my photos that the video was there and was correct. Good morning! Well, I have come out for a little hike and also to film. Now on trail, this is where the fun began. When choosing a hotel, the first thing I checked was how fast is the Wi-Fi? Is it reliable? How much does it cost, or is it free? So I would log into the Wi-Fi and start that video uploading, because sometimes it could take several hours. Once it had uploaded to YouTube, there was still some important things still left to do. The first was to schedule the video. If I set it straight away to public, this would go out before previous ones, so I always had to schedule them in order. Next was uploading my own thumbnail. As I've said before, I like to use my own photographs for the thumbnails, so I edit them first of all in an application called Snapseed. This is a free app that allows you to do some basic photograph editing. I would choose my favourite photograph of the day to use as the thumbnail and do some basic edits on it. There are a lot of options within Snapseed that you can use, but I generally just stuck to a few basic ones. Once I finished, I exported this photograph and saved a copy on my phone. Now it was on to creating the thumbnail. I use Adobe Spark Post, which is an online and mobile design app. It allows you to create really great social graphics and posts for social media, web stories, and anything you like really. I would then import the photograph from a photo library which had previously been edited with Snapseed and use this on a template for my thumbnail. I'm not going to go through this in detail because again, I'm sure there are much better videos out there about how to use this application. I will then save this new thumbnail onto my iPhone, go back into YouTube and click the Edit Thumbnail option. Choose the custom thumbnail and insert this into the video. Then it was just a matter of doing all the last little bits like the title, the description, all my tags and all the other little bits and bobs that goes along with it. And there we have it, ready for viewing. One final thing to mention is that not everybody wants to be on camera, so I always made sure to ask permission if I was going to be filming anybody. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that it's been useful. Please feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!